Was Fargo over yet? I guess TNT didn't want me, Joe Bob Briggs, to be hosting Fargo for some reason. How come we didn't get Fargo?
Yeah.
Fargo's too good for Monstervision. They'd rather pay us to stand around here for 2 hours till it's over. Not that it cost them that much. I think they paid an extra $135 or so, and 90 of that was for taxidermy fees, so don't even ask.
See Monstervision host Joe Bob Briggs next on TNT.
Hey, Joe Bob Briggs here, and I don't believe I've been sitting around here for 2 hours twiddling my thumbs while you guys watch Fargo, because it's about time TNT put me on. It's Adrienne Barbeau night here at Monstervision. Double header, the Fog and Swamp Thing. You know, Adrienne just gave birth at the age of 51 to twins. Is that amazing or what? At least they have a father, though. Is anybody else noticing how many new babies are being born these days without fathers?
Wow.
I don't mean they lost their father. I don't mean their mommy got divorced. I don't mean the daddy deserted the family. I don't mean some guy was killed in peacekeeping maneuvers or something. I mean those situations where from the very first moment the woman decides to have a baby but not have a husband, like Jodie Foster and Madonna. And if possible, they go down to one of those anonymous sperm banks and they pick out some suitable genetic material, and 9 months later, out pops little Willie. Launched into a world where someday he's going to be saying, Mom, the Boy Scout troop is having a father-son camp out. I think we should sue them. You know, I have nothing against ladies who raise kids by themselves. God bless them. But wouldn't you think they would want a guy to tag along for at least the first 18 years? Don't they need somebody around to deal with it when the kid turns 13, starts becoming a testosterone monster? I mean, deal with a teenage boy. A lot of it has to do with who weighs more. You know? You can't just say, now, William, that's not very nice, don't do that anymore. Sometimes you have to say, okay, that's it, last man standing. Of course, nobody believes that anymore. Nobody believes that boys need dads. Nobody believes that you should fight with your dad or get drunk with your dad or learn about sex with your dad. In fact, a big theme of the feminist movement now is that women should teach young boys about how to deal with young girls so we can start getting that testosterone under control. Wrong-go! I don't think so. The guy who knows how to control that testosterone is the guy who has that testosterone. You don't understand the animal unless you've been the animal. A lot of father-son stuff, like it or not, involves violence. I mean, not actual physical violence, although duking it out can have its benefits. But it does involve dad ripping that boy away from his mom and forcing him to face manhood. You don't have to ram broom handles through his breast like they did in A Man Called Horse, but you do have to make him bleed a little, you know. To use a phrase from the feminist movement, he has to understand his own body, right? Well, who's going to do that? Hopefully Dad's going to do that, or Granddad, or Uncle Sal, but I guarantee you it's a male who's going to do that. Mommy can try to do it all she wants to. You know what she's going to end up with? Best case scenario, a wimp. Worst case scenario, a gang member. Neither of these kids is going to like himself very much. So, ladies, listen to me. If you're going to do this, if you're going to raise a son without benefit of any evil men around, then at least plan on sending him to boarding school when he hits 12. Or military school, even better. But someplace with a guy named Sarge on the staff, preferably a bald-headed guy with a tattoo who can pop the heads off rattlesnakes with his bare hands. Listening to that? All right, anyhow, I don't want to talk anymore about that. How did I get off on that? I just went off on that subject. It's time to watch John Carpenter's classic, The Fog. It's Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, Hal Holbrook, and a whole bunch of John Carpenter's friends going, the fog is evil. Don't go into the fog. Frankly, I don't think you can make fog that creepy, but tell me what you think. Those drive-in totals are 8 dead bodies, no breasts, sword through the chest, hook through the chest, dagger to the chest, 6 zombies, strangulation. I give it about 3 stars. Check it out. And, oh my God, it's The Fog. Mutants and flesh eaters and zombies. These are the denizens of the freshman dorms at the University of Arkansas, and also the same people who watch Monstervision every week. And, oh, wait a minute, I got mixed up. These are the people on Monstervision, and we study these people on the Monstervision website at tnt.turner.com/Monstervision. Good. If you're a freshman and I just woke you up, never mind. Go back to sleep.
Visit the Monstervision website at tnt.turner.com/Monstervision. Back to Monstervision host Joe Bob Briggs and The Fog on TNT.
Kind of surprising, huh? Jamie Lee Curtis and that guy should have got killed just for jumping in bed too fast, right? Isn't that what's supposed to happen in a horror flick? Nookie equals death. But this time, it's the fog that we're supposed to be afraid of. There's some guy right off camera just pumping that stuff in as fast as John Carpenter can use it up, right? Where's our fog machine? We used to have a fog machine here. We should be doing that tonight. More TNT cost cutting. Makes me sick. You can't do a decent show around here anymore. Just so we'll know how evil the fog is in this movie, it moves against the wind. Ooh. The fog. Well, the people do right, don't they? Dear Joe Bob, how much do they pay you? Whatever it is, it's... And then, of course, we get the email, too. Mr. Briggs, this confirms your recent subscription to Nasty Teenage Goddess's website. And, oh, anyhow, there's two ways to get in touch with us. Monstervision@turner.com or 1010 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. And for those of you too chicken to get involved, check out some of the strangest mail we get at the To the Editor page on our website at tnt.turner.com/Monstervision. That must be a spam message.
Visit the Monstervision website at tnt.turner.com/Monstervision. Back to Monstervision host Joe Bob Briggs and The Fog on TNT.
Okay, did you get that? The creepy pirate zombies are actually dead lepers from a leper colony that wanted to live at Antonio Bay 100 years ago, but Hal Holbrook's grandpa tricked them and made them shipwreck and stole their gold. But I have a question. If priests don't get married, how does Hal Holbrook have a grandfather who's a priest? Don't try to put stuff like that over on me. And is it too obvious to point out that Janet Leigh, who I guess is playing the mayor or something, is Jamie Lee Curtis's mom? Everyone knows that, I guess. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. I know you Monstervision fans are highly educated. But it's hard to stay up on People magazine every week, too. I know that. You know, anybody can sponsor a lame website contest, but very few can create a contest that is extremely cruel to the losers. That's the whole idea behind the Monstervision caption contest. Try your luck, make the six-headed jury laugh, and you might win a cool Monstervision t-shirt, or you might go down in flames and be derided as an unfunny loser who tried to compete with the big dog. Check it out at tnt.turner.com/Monstervision. We'll enjoy it, even if you won't.
Play the Monster Caption Contest and win a free t-shirt at tnt.turner.com/Monstervision. Back to Monstervision host Joe Bob Briggs and The Fog on TNT.
Well, what was that dang corpse trying to do? He gets up, walks across the room, writes something stupid on the floor, and they all just look at one another like, well, there goes another one. And what was that stuff about liquid dripping off the wooden plank and setting Adrian Barbeau's tapes on fire?
Yeah.
This is one of those movies where anything can happen and you don't have to explain it. Adrian looks good, though, doesn't she? Two enormous talents on that woman, and I mean that with all due respect. Okay, roll it. Adrian is the only one who thinks anything weird is going on. Everybody else just sits there like, that's normal for 98 car alarms to go off at the same time, isn't it? What? Something wrong with that? Huh.
Back to Monstervision host Joe Bob Briggs and The Fog on TNT.
That'll teach Dan to make fun of the fog, right? There's something different about this fog, Dan. It glows. So it's green and it moves the wrong way. Excuse me if I'm not impressed yet. Okay, it starts getting a little better, and you've got nothing to do, right? So roll it. At least this is one of John Carpenter's better musical scores. John loves to do his own music on these films. Usually it's like 2 notes, but it's his own music. This one has at least 3 or 4 notes in it.
Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and The Fog on TNT.
So my question, oh, The Fog. My question is, why did he let Jamie Lee Curtis drive the truck in the first place? He was driving the truck the whole movie until he had to go rescue that kid, and they almost got eaten, like the babysitter. So obviously, at this point, you can tell the zombies are PO'd. Don't give the girl the keys. Okay, now the fog is getting serious. Stay away from the fog. Give me a little new fog there. Give me a little fog. Oh, it's the fog. How does Adrienne Barbeau know what street the fog is on if she had to walk down that big hill to get to the lighthouse? She can't see the town from down there. Of course, I find it's better not to ask these kinds of questions during John Carpenter flicks. You just have to go, yes, John. Kind of like when you're married. Yes, dear. Do you think this bedspread matches the wallpaper in the guest room? Yes, dear. Keep things simple. That is some great fog. We're going to build TNT for that fog, right? Well, the people do right, don't they? Dear Joe Bob, how much do they pay you? Whatever it is, it's... And then, of course, we get the email, too. Mr. Briggs, this confirms your recent subscription to Nasty Teenage Goddess's website. And, oh, anyhow, there's 2 ways to get in touch with us. monstervision@turner.com or 1010 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. And for those of you too chicken to get involved, check out some of the strangest mail we get at the To the Editor page on our website at tnt.turner.com/monstervision. That must be a spam message.
Visit the Monster Vision website at tnt.turner.com/monstervision. Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and The Fog on TNT.
So Hal Holbrook's gonna give them their gold back and the zombies are just gonna go home. I don't think so. Here's the conclusion of The Fog. And after it's over, I'll still be here because our second feature tonight is Swamp Thing, the story of a research scientist who continues to love Adrienne Barbeau from afar, even though a chemical turns him into a walking salad bar. And now, the last of The Fog. And it looks like we may make it to sunrise again. After this, we can all go out to Denny's and order the Grand Slam breakfast. And how many people you think will still be up? 2, 3?
Yeah.
All right, I'm buying.
Stay tuned for more Joe Bob Briggs on Joe Bob's Last Call. Coming up next on TNT. And now, Joe Bob's Last Call and Swamp Thing on TNT.
I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and The Fog is finally over. The Fog has left us. You know, that's a John Carpenter movie that everybody knows about, but nobody really loves that movie. It's kind of shaky as a horror flick. You got the Adrienne Barbeau plot, you got your Jamie Lee Curtis plot, although she doesn't have diddly squat to do after the first 10 minutes of the movie. You got your Hal Holbrook playing the guilty priest for the 7,000th time in his career, and you got the zombies. Although you never actually see the zombies because there's too much dang fog. Not too satisfying, in my opinion. Okay, in just a minute, we're going to watch the always popular Swamp Thing, but first I want to remind you, this is hot off the presses. Next week on Monster Vision, we'll be showing the great cockroach movie, Joe's Apartment, followed by the classic Nightbreed, directed by Clive Barker. Moving on now with a favorite of mine, Swamp Thing. Now, I want to read you this letter that I got back when Swamp Thing first came out. February 4th, 1982. This is funny. It says, Swamp Thing is not a horror film. Rather, it is a PG-rated fantasy adventure based on the exploits of a comic book hero published by DC Comics, the folks who brought us Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Well, Wasn't exactly PG rated when I saw it because it's also famous as the first film where Adrienne Barbeau ever got topless. We won't be unleashing those hooters tonight on TNT because Ted would be upset if we did that, but we will be showing you dang near everything else that was in the original version. But anyhow, my question is, how come everybody that makes a horror movie always says, this is not really a horror movie, it's a suspense thriller. It's a drama with horror elements. It's a PG rated fantasy adventure. I mean, what's wrong with just saying, here's a dang horror flick? Burns my bacon every time I see that. So anyway, this is the story of how Adrienne Barbeau goes deep, deep, deep into the swamp where a secret research laboratory is about to solve the problem of world hunger when, whoops, some vicious corporate mercenaries show up and accidentally set a scientist on fire, and he falls in the swamp and becomes, you guessed it, Swamp Thing. Kind of the first environmental superhero, half plant, half human, hokey but lovable. Actually an excellent flick. I like this flick. It hadn't been taken as seriously as it might have been if it had a different title. But check it out, and then we'll talk. Go. And isn't this about the 5th time we've had Adrienne Barbeau on the show? She was the favorite actress of both John Carpenter and Wes Craven in the late 70s, early 80s. You know what she does now? A nightclub lounge act, and she's the mother of twins. Can you believe that? Adrienne Barbeau has twins. You couldn't make that up, could you? And I hear the nightclub lounge act is pretty good, too. She's got a great diaphragm.